Kia ora, welcome to episode 4 of the TOGCast. As always, I'm Foxman.
I'm Gavor.
He's Gavor. And we're back, slightly longer between episodes this time. There's been quite a lot going on, busy with life and things. However, we are back in action to talk about all things TOG, Game Club, racing, ARMA, among other things, and the usual spiel of hot takes, bullshit, and otherwise interesting topics.
Yeah, pretty good.
What have we got on the agenda?
All right, well, look, what we've got on the agenda, we decided to do a little bit more focused, but however I think it's going to leave us with more room to go on tangents instead of having a big long list of topics we want to cover. So today we're going to look at racing. We're going to look at the iRacing League with the Debacle Racing guys. There's been a couple of races, but I must admit I have only had time to watch one of their Porsche Cup races. And we'll also go and have a look at Beamng.drive because we've been playing that multiplayer. Well, you haven't, but I have. I've been playing.
I have in the past, and I have played that game extensively on my own. But yes, I'm looking forward to getting into it again.
Bunch of TOG guys and I, we've been playing on and off multiple times a week. And we've got a few little game modes. I won't go into it too much, but maybe just to pique people's interest if they've got it or they want to join in. Couple of game modes that we've come up with that keep us greatly amused. We're also going to talk about ARMA.
Of course.
We're going to try to cover events. I think that's one of the things we'd like to do is make sure we're covering events that are happening in TOG. If you're one of those people who is, a captain of one of the groups or teams within TOG and you want to talk about your game or an event that you're doing, we would love to hear from you.
Let us know. Yeah, so we're all ears.
That's where the racing one comes from because they've got an event set up and they're happy.
Exactly.
And they have it recorded so we can go back and review it. ARMA's the same. You're involved a lot. I'm involved every now and then at this time of year. I'm generally off doing other stuff, unfortunately, on a Wednesday night. And we'll, of course, talk about Game Club. Of course, we'll talk about Game Club. Everyone wants to talk about Game Club. This means great games.
Quite a lot to cover with Game Club, actually.
100%.
So that'll be a good one to get stuck into.
A couple of game clubs to talk about. We missed February, as you said, so we'll get to that. And then we've got a bit of a pet topic, which is something we'd like to do, and something I think would be great because we can get people to chime in with their experience. So we want to talk this time about our background, history, experience with flight simulators, going as far back as you possibly can. So I mean, listening to that, and we'd love to have people either put comments on YouTube or if you're part of TOG and you're watching / listening to this, go and have a chat in the channel we'll put together for this very topic, for this very podcast.
The usual thread for the episode, we'll be keen to see people's comments and thoughts.
Then whatever else we decide to go and talk about. I don't have anything specifically. It's a Saturday afternoon, not a Sunday afternoon, so I'm less settled in.
I'm a little bit more antsy.
I got football to do tomorrow, so I kind of need to move around at some stage today. Otherwise, I won't be able to run tomorrow.
No, fair enough. I sat in the car for 4 hours this morning, so I'm kind of just like, blah.
You're already in the zone.
So it's all good. Well, however,
let's talk racing then. Let's talk racing league.
Let's talk racing.
I'm gonna continue to steal the spotlight for a little bit longer because I watched their last race. So was it Saturday? So just a couple of days ago, they were racing in the Porsche Cup. I'm sorry I didn't make a note of where the location was. If you want to chuck it into the comments because you were in the race, feel free. I think they were just the two people. Kerry and Shrubbo were racing in this one, I believe. I don't think Ninja made this particular race. It was a 10-lap race. They were both sort of midfield. I noticed that Shrubbo dropped back early on in the race, but I think he made his way back up to 6th or 7th from memory. Whereas Kerry was running a pretty good race up until about the 3rd or 4th lap. And then he ended up at the back, completely at the back, as in falling behind greatly, as if he'd had a horrible accident. And I don't know what happened. And they didn't, to my memory, really cover it at all. And then he ended up coming last. So sorry to call that out. But
that's a shame.
Breaks. It is a bit of a shame.
Especially if you're not clear on what happened. Maybe he can give us some insight on what went wrong there too.
I meant to reach out to him, but I really only had a chance to look at it properly this morning. I noticed he was last when I checked it the first time, but I figured it would have been covered because they do a lot of replays. So I figured it would have been covered as part of it, but apparently not. So, look, you got anything to say about the iRacing series? Have you had a chance to watch much of it?
I haven't had a chance to watch much of it, but one thing I have been keeping an eye on is because obviously my own sim rig is obviously my little pet hobby. I have been keeping an eye on both Strubbo and Kerry and the builds that they're putting together with motion, because both of them have gone
yes.
all in on the motion rig recently, just within the last few months. And having a look at the photos, friggin' awesome. Love it. I'm not sure that motion is for me with my setup personally. It's something I've toyed with before, but I've never really delved into it enough to justify the cost. But I love the way that the pair of them have just gone all out. Shrubbo's latest round of pictures that he posted were just looking great. He's got the flight pedals and the driving pedals set up in such a way that I think actually looks really cool. Might try and emulate that on mine with the stacked pedals, whereas at the moment I have to move my flight pedals to drive, which is fine. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, I love seeing that. It's something that I've spent a lot of time and effort on over the years, and I always love looking at other people's builds and getting inspiration and ideas on how to tweak my own and what I can do better, or I don't like how they've done that, but what they've done with that looks really cool. And the fact that both of them have got the motion, I'd love to see some recording of the exterior view of them racing. So not just the recording of the race, but actually the rig from the outside while they're going through the race itself. I think that'd be quite cool to see. So that's my input on it for the moment. Yeah, I'm always keen to see more of that shit.
They look very cool. It's totally outside my wheelhouse, so to speak. It's not up there anymore. My son has my G27. I don't even have the G27 anymore. It's up from my son because he wanted to play Beamng.drive, so he didn't have a controller. I could have set him one up, but he was like, wouldn't mind taking the wheel.
No, that's fair. I've almost got the last few pieces of the puzzle finalised to get my rig back in action. It's been out of action for a year, and it's very nearly back, so I will be rejoining the BeamMG. But I'll let you talk more about that now, so go.
I have referenced it multiple times, so let's just talk about it a little bit. Look, I've actually got a server. It's I pay for a server for BeamMG. It's actually relatively cheap. It's like the cheapest server you can get at the provider that I use. So I just maintain that one. So it's currently got a limit on it just because I can't be bothered. But if anybody wants to play on the BeamMP server, and I have had other people like Ninja and I think even Strubbo played for a little while with us.
There's been a couple of randoms I think joined from time to time as well.
There's been other randoms join, but other TOG people have been on too. But we've had I think at the peak we've had 6 out of 6. So we've actually maxed the server out. The 6 out of 6 isn't there because the server is incapable of supporting more people. I just left it at the default because I thought I'll never get more than 6, and we had 6 the other day. So,
reevaluating that.
the more we do, the better. So we don't take it too seriously. A couple of things we've done over time, and those who don't know BeamNG, it's a physics,
soft body physics simulator.
Heavy soft body physics simulator. Yeah, with a great deal of physics on the mechanicals and the electricals and in the engine and all that sort of part of the car as well. So you can kind of strip your car down. You can take all the bits off. You can replace a heap of your running gears, suspension, your wheels, your rims, your tire. You can change all that. You can change everything in the engine pretty much. You can get actually mods where you can change literally every single piece that makes up a combustion engine. I used that once.
The tuning aspect as well.
I wouldn't muck around there. And you've got the tuning, which I don't touch very often. Only the bits that I kind of understand because it's a bit too much for me. But if you want to, you can go crazy. So a couple of the things that we've done. We've done things where we'll chase each other around a map with a particular car, and then the first person to wreck gets to have an upgrade. That one's something we've done a little bit over time. The one that we play a lot of is circuit races, whether they be on-road, off-road. We do a lot of track stuff. It's a little bit easier to find good tracks. We've got a couple of rallycross tracks, 3 rallycross tracks that we race on as well, which is good fun. Mix it up a bit. And we have a very simple system. If you come first, and it's generally a single lap race, we do 1 lap and then we stop. And the reason is, if you come first, no upgrade for you. You always start with a stock car, or whatever you choose, random or stock car. If you come second, you get 1 upgrade. If you come third, you get 2 upgrades. Everybody after that tends to get 2 upgrades unless we're feeling really generous, so we might make it 3 for third. See how we go. And it just results in really even racing. So no one ever gets a great advantage because people are forever upgrading their car behind you to give them a small advantage. So you've obviously got to know what the track's about. You've got to learn what the conditions are going to be like. So what's going to be the best sort of upgrade path? It's not always
kind of a reverse handicap system, isn't it?
It is a reverse handicap system. So it keeps people up there. And because we've got the soft body physics, you do a lot of crashing. There are some horrendous and extremely hilarious. Like on my channel, I haven't put them on TOG. On my personal YouTube channel, I've got a lot of clips. I've got like a clip show, and I quite often update with like 10-second clips of stuff that we've done that we found particularly hilarious. So if you want to check it out, my YouTube channel is just under Gavor AU. I think that's pretty much covers it. We make it as simple as fun as possible. Sometimes we race up mountains, sometimes we do circuits, sometimes we do all sorts of stuff. If you crash, it's okay. You can reset and just continue on from where you were. You know, we don't have too many onerous rules. It's just for a laugh.
It has a real niche over and above most racing games. Like, you know, most racing games, you're driving, you crash, whatever. But with BeamNG, of course, the body physics and the deformation and destruction modeling on the vehicles is what makes it so entertaining. You know, you hit you just touch the edge of a post or a barrier or something, and the front quarter of your car crumples, and you're driving along with a wheel that is perpendicular to the path of your travel, and you're still thinking, oh, no wonder I'm going slow. My wheel's actually missing. 100%. It's hilarious. It's great. I'll
slip some of our footage into this. So if you're looking at this on YouTube, you hopefully are watching some of that right now. So that's provided many hours of entertainment recently, and
no doubt many more. It's a great game.
Probably the peak of my racing in sim racing. It's my level. If I don't like it, I can just stick a stonking great V8 into a very small car and.
We raced some logging trucks last night, which was quite hilarious. When taking a sharp corner and the logs suddenly become part of the obstacles on the road that you have to dodge.
What was that?
In Beam.
In Beam. Yeah.
Yep.
Having pits come off the back.
Yeah. You've got the mining dump trucks. You've got front end loaders. You've got buses. All sorts of different trucks, concrete mixers, various cars. It's just, and that's before you even get into the mods. It's crazy. Yeah, so much diversity.
Ridiculously complicated, and it extend with thousands and thousands of mods and tracks and stuff that really adds to the longevity. Brilliant. Without even getting into the other stuff you can do, like you can get 4-wheel driving, and you can. Yes, there's some maps that are 10
town maps and things.
There's city town maps. There's one map that I've got that's like 10 kilometers to a side, so 10 by 10 map. So it's really big, and it's got multiple towns and racetracks and mountains and rock climbs, and that one's good fun for just free form. Let's go for a drive together and see what ridiculous shit happens, and something always happens. So that's me and my racing report. So I'm going to hand over to you now for the ARMA report, because of course there is the weekly ARMA game, which I miss a lot of this time of year because I'm off doing training.
Unfortunately,
I can't make it this time of year.
Miss you on the Wednesdays that you're not there, but that's okay.
I was there this week.
We still get up. You were there this week, that's right. We got up to some good shenanigans, and ARMA, obviously for those that don't know, is a military sandbox simulator. So vehicles, soldiers, aircraft, helicopters, etc. And at the moment we're running a World War II campaign using a game mode called Antistasi, which is resistance or rebellion, effectively. So we are a guerrilla unit fighting against occupants and invaders. And currently we're set in 1944 Poland. So we've gone back to World War II, which makes things interesting because a lot of that kit is quite rudimentary, shall we say, for the resistance faction to begin with. So we've made some good progress. We've captured some enemy positions from the Germans. We've lost a number of vehicles through no fault of our own at all, entirely down to enemy action. But it is a campaign that can last many months if we want it to, and maintains a good diversity of gameplay with the different types of actions that we can get up to. Last session we had, we took out our Tiger tank for the first time, stolen from the Germans a couple of weeks ago, and it was great success with Aranis manning a hilltop. Yep. Unfortunately, he was attacked by, I think the Germans sent, 4 tanks, I think it was. We have not come across that before, so it was completely unexpected. He knocked out 2 of them before sadly succumbing to enemy fire. But we don't let that get us down, because he was soon back in action getting run over by a Jeep driven by Twister. But that particular case is still before a military tribunal.
I might find the footage of that and insert some of that footage. So
We'll let you, the viewer slash listener, be the judge for us to make a final determination on whether or not judicial action is going to be taken against one or more parties. So it could well determine what happens in the next session. Mm-hmm. So, But yes, ARMA is always on every week, basically, Wednesday night. So we have a core group. I think it's probably about 6 or 7 of us most of the time. A few who drop in as and when their schedules allow. And obviously it is an open invitation. Anyone in TOG is welcome to join.
What time is
information is on the Discord. 7:30 p.m. New Zealand time. So that's currently UTC plus 13. For you, that is, I think that's 5 p.m. your time, isn't it? Local time.
5 p.m. my time, which is currently, because we're in daylight savings, 10:30. So
yeah. So not a problem if people are joining later. For you Aussies, obviously understand that 5 p.m. or thereabouts is probably not always the best time frame. So late arrivals, not a problem. Details are on Discord. Feel free to hit us up if you're interested.
So, well, let's talk about Game Club. Do you want to go first and talk about Game Club and what you played in February?
Sure, yeah. So Game Club, we've got 2 months to cover, of course, February and March, and we had some very different games put up, actually. So February we had Dread Delusion, which I'll let you touch on, and the second game was Captain of Industry, which is one I actually picked up. And Captain of Industry it's one of those interesting kind of factory games, like Factorio or Satisfactory, but it's played from a bit more of a sort of civilization/city builder style of gameplay. So it kind of touches on the Anno series of games from Ubisoft, kind of touches on some of that aspect of gameplay where you're managing your citizens as well as your production lines. So a little bit of a kind of crossover or hybrid, I guess. And I really enjoyed it. It's something I'll probably go back to, I think. It's still in development. I think it is technically still early access, so there's probably a long way to go yet. But it has a pretty solid foundation of gameplay. They introduced trains, I think, in one of the most recent updates, which is quite cool. So you can have large-scale production on one side of a map and then train your products or your ores or whatever to the other side where your factories are. But as with all of those styles of games, it's all about balancing your inputs and your outputs. And I don't always have the brain for that math if I'm not in the right frame of mind. So it's just kind of like, if I can put a truck here and just, drive it, see what happens, and then it runs out of production because I haven't got enough ore coming in or something, and it's like, Christ. So then you run into this sort of death spiral where one thing isn't being produced which is required for the next thing, and so on. That's always the interesting and kind of fun part, to unravel those problems when you get delving into it. But very solid game if you're into that style of factory/city management type of gameplay. Definitely worth a look, I reckon. Probably when it's on sale at this stage, it is, I think, fairly pricey at
$50. I just had a quick look. I think it was about $50. Right. It's not an EA, but right, it's still in development, so they're still having.
It's not an EA. Okay, I was wrong about that.
Still having fairly major updates. No, I couldn't see the EA, so the laptop that I run all this stuff off of is kind of half behind my mic, so it's really irritating, which is why I'm looking underneath something.
Just awkwardly. Yeah,
I could have put it in a better spot, but I'm not very smart, so
we all have our moments.
We're still working on this whole podcast thing. Oh no, I take it back. It is early access. No, there we go.
It is. Okay.
Must be behind my mic. Yeah, no, still early access. I can see that there were very vindication. There were update. Yeah, so I saw update 4 tier 2 trains and amphibious vehicles. Very cool. It does look cool. Hey, it's one of those games that falls under. I love Transport Tycoon and always have.
Yes.
It doesn't look exactly the same, but it's got that look and feel, and I'm like, but I want to play. If I want to play that game,
I'd
probably just play Transport Tycoon because I don't have the time, energy, or space on my Steam list. I don't keep a Steam wish list. Again, that's fair. I'm the worst gamer in the universe. I don't have a Steam wish list. I deleted my Steam wish list last year. It's been very nice. It's been a revelation. Now I only buy what I like the look of. No,
that's totally fair. Yeah, totally fair. I would probably play a lot more of Captain of Industry if I was a student or retired.
100%.
It's the sort of game where you need you need to spend a decent amount of time to get stuck in and actually make some progress. I think the last session I played was like 3 hours, and I felt like I was only really just scratching the surface. So
being neither a student nor retired.
Yeah, kind of screwed. Yeah, but it is definitely worth a look. If you're into that style of game, I would certainly recommend giving it some consideration. And I will hopefully be able to go back and get further along the progression. Technology tree is huge. So many different things to research.
Yeah, no, look, one of those ones that I 100% agree. I think I'd quite enjoy that game. Yeah, it's sort of thing I play when
One
I'm
day.
retired one day, right? I just when am I going to play it now?
Right.
I squeezed in like an
seamless
hour of something this morning.
I play these games regularly, and the other 4,000 are waiting for when I retire.
Yeah, they're all nicely organised for when I do retire. I've got
Exactly.
all
Yes, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
So,
But,
no, sorry, cap it off. So
no, that's right. I was just going to say that was my February. Your February though was quite different.
I played Dread Delusion.
Yes,
So
which looks quite interesting, but I didn't actually get into it. So
yeah, no, I didn't. I can't remember who pointed it out to me, and it was only semi recently. It might have been another Togger, and I'm sorry if it's not U5. It might have been Five, friend called Five from Tog. We converse quite often about Formula One. We've got a Formula One channel, just going off a bit of a tangent, but he might have told me about Dread Delusion, sort of thing that he'd be into. I don't know. He can call me out and tell me that I'm wrong. But anyway, somebody did tell me about it a while ago. So when it popped up, I was straight on. I'm like, yep, cool. I'm going to go grab that. Happened to be on sale too. So when I gave it a go, it's before I played it, it gave me like a small scale Morrowind vibe, right? It looks a bit like Morrowind.
Exactly what I thought.
People have said it's got a bit of a vibe. It's got that same sort of progression. You know, it feels like you're playing Morrowind in a different setting. It's still weird. Like if you don't remember playing Morrowind because it was a long time ago and you're old like me, or maybe you've never played it, right? Morrowind is fucking weird. Like Morrowind is a very weird setting.
Odd.
Like you compare it to the other Elder Scrolls game, it's got a completely different feel. Like
totally different.
It's
like jumping into Oblivion after playing Morrowind for so many years was quite jarring, to be honest, because it went from this whimsical, wild with some really
giant
crazy
mushrooms,
shit,
giant
mushroom, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, generic
fantasy,
medieval England slash Central Europe.
That's what Daggerfall was, right? Daggerfall was like, like almost like the dark, like Germanic, European RPG medieval setting, right? And yet
Oblivion didn't manage to nail the dark sort of Gothic style medieval. It was all sort of bright and shiny, which of course was. It was
all Demora, right? It was all the Demora and the demons and stuff. They just didn't nail an aesthetic in Oblivion. I liked Oblivion and I finished it.
So did I.
But I never played it again, as opposed to Morrowind, which I've gone back and played and actually updated with all the fancy mods and whatever to make it run and look nice, and then played some more of it. Whereas Oblivion, never.
MX, what is it now? The Morrowind Open Engine. I forget the exact name of it. It's part of
OpenMW, isn't it?
Modless for it.
Isn't it OpenMW?
Something like that. Yeah. There's another one, MXGO. I think is the modless built off.
There's
anyway,
a couple of them. And there's some. Look, there's ones for Daggerfall. I've actually played Daggerfall more in the last 2 or 3 years than I've played Oblivion again, right?
I haven't revisited that. I should. I picked up Oblivion Remastered, the new one they released recently.
Haven't even played it.
But I haven't played more than about 3 hours of it.
I haven't played it at all. No, I haven't even
played it. You're doing better than me.
What was the one before that? What was the first one? Arena. Elder Scrolls Arena.
Yes.
I played Arena more than I played Oblivion. Like I played some Arena a couple of years ago. I played some Daggerfall. I've used the Daggerfall mods. Got off like a big tangent.
Massive tangent. We could all for hours about Elder Scrolls. We'll do that next time.
We'll do that as another. We'll talk about our history with Elder Scrolls games. But Dread Delusion, it did feel a little bit like Morrowind. It was really weird. You know, one of the first things you wake up in a cell. Classic. You wake up in a cell. You get out of the cell. You go and talk to a flying skull thing, right? It's got a real fantasy 40K feel to it, where people have been repurposed as machines. Machines
cool.
meddle with magic, right? So then you got there's a lot of it's a lot of that. So you consider as you go along, but then you go up some stairs to talk to a dude, and it's a guy inside like an Iron Maiden sarcophagus, and there's blood dripping out of the bottom, and it's a real Inquisition, body horror type feel. It's not over the top. But when you look at what's happening around you, you're like, this is fucking weird. It's weird. It runs well. It's a bit of an RPG. Yeah. The UI is quite clunky and difficult to work out. Like, I think I was privileged in that some people played it before me and told me it was difficult. So,
you had a little bit of it.
I was a little bit forewarned. It might even be Mo Kerr himself who had played it before me and said, the UI was tough to work out to start with. So I kind of learned from him, and luckily, otherwise I probably would have struggled with it too. I don't really know what else more there is to say, in that you wandered around and you did stuff, and then stuff happened, and you picked things up and you hit things with swords. If none of that sounds interesting to you, you're not going to love it. I quite enjoyed it. I haven't been back. I did make a video.
It's
actually on the TOG channel, so check it out.
Put a link.
It's pretty like a picture is worth 1,000 words, and pretty worth like 3,000 of my rambling words, to be honest with you. So it's worth watching the video to check it out. It looks like it looks. It plays like it plays. It is a bit clunky. It does feel a little bit low Morrowind. The aesthetic is cool if you like that. And I honestly think I don't think it's very long, relative, compared to other big RPGs. So if you can get it on sale, I would also give that one a tick. I enjoyed it, and I will play some more of it again one day. It's just on the long list of things.
The ever growing list, yeah.
So,
if you're anything like me.
That was my February. And for March, I think you played.
Yeah, March was an interesting one. We actually ended up with 3 games selected for March, which is not something that happens very often, but we had Borderlands 3, Aliens Dark Descent, which I'll let you talk on, and Project Gorgon, which is one I played and have played a fair bit. I originally picked up Project Gorgon probably 6+ years ago, long time ago. Played it for a while, thought it was really funky, and then just kind of gave it up. It was an early access, long development history. And for those who aren't familiar with the name, as I suspect probably most people aren't because it's quite niche, it's an MMO, so massively multiplayer online game, kind of very loosely in the style of the original EverQuest in terms of everything is basically in the world, but there's no guidance for the player on where to go, what to do, who to talk to. So your quests maybe to go and collect a particular type of organ, like a liver or something from a deer. Have to collect 5 livers or what have you. But you don't know where the deer are. You don't know if you're in the same zone as the deer. You don't know if the deer are the same level as you or something you can even fight at that point. So there's a great deal of emphasis on player initiative, exploring the world, finding unique things. And when it comes to unique mechanics, Gorgon has some really quite bizarre and very fascinating mechanics. For example, combat skills. You can have a sword, you can use a bow, an arrow, a shield, a dagger / fighting knife, a staff, cast magic. You can also use psychology. So you can quite literally walk up to another opponent, character, undead zombie, skeleton, and ask them about their mother. And if you succeed, it does damage, mental damage. So you can actually talk your enemies to death in a way, which is quite interesting.
Somewhat unique.
Yeah, quite unique. I mean, in practice, it's really no different to casting a magic spell, right? But it's the flavour and the lore that goes around that which makes it quite fascinating. There's all sorts of things that you can do as a player. You can stumble upon it, or you can learn it from other characters. You can become a cow and be milked by other players. You can become a pig. And you will have interactions with other characters within the game that other players can't do because they are not said cow or pig or what have you. But equally, you'll be restricted from doing certain things. So it's a very unusual game in that sense. The downfall to it, I think, really is the fact that it is very much a passion project. It was originally a husband and wife development team, and sadly, one of the two passed away over the last couple of years. I forget exactly. I think it was the husband that passed away. And there obviously has been some challenges as a result of that. So the development is still ongoing. It's in so-called 1.0 release, and the player numbers have been several thousand players on each server, which I think they've had to open another 4 servers since they launched the game. So it has had some pretty impressive success, but the lack of development resources does show through. There's inconsistencies in the art style. Trees in one map will look reasonably decent, and in another map they just look like absolute trash because they're placeholders. Some of the world is a bit inconsistent in terms of the structures, styles, and architecture and things. So there's a lot of, I guess you'd say, kind of not shortcuts necessarily, but just development shortfalls as a result of the game's history. But if you can look past that and you can accept the kind of late 90s, early 2000s style graphics, which are sometimes a bit inconsistent in terms of style, then there's a lot of really quite interesting and unique gameplay to unpack there. You can get lost in that world and read poetry, learn how to dance and sing songs. There's a few parallels with Star Wars Galaxies in that respect, a lot of social skills that don't directly impact your combat. And then, of course, there's the whole crafting loop. So it's a very, very unique game. It has got a quite extensive demo available on Steam, so you don't have to shell out the money to test it out. The demo lets you play through quite a lot of the content in the early part of the game. So if you're looking for a bit of an old school MMO that doesn't hold your hands, something that has some really unusual and quite quirky features, then have a look at the demo, give it a go, and you might find that it catches your fancy.
Give it a go. I've been looking at it. Yeah. I don't like MMOs. Too much of a time sink.
Totally
like anything that with the grind, I immediately switch off and turn it off. Like it's not for me. My brain works differently. So not to say that MMOs are bad. I don't click with them. I mean, I am fascinated because one of the comments that's in here that says the dev team thought, what if Morrowind was an MMO, and then didn't look back. So they say Morrowind is a level of jank they're working with, and why do they have 30 classes and 90 professions? Because somehow it actually works. If you want to be a deer that leads undead skeletons, you can do that. If you want to be a bard that controls the weather, you can do that. You can have vampirism, lycanthropy. Apparently, if you do that, you can't talk in the chat anymore. It's just a series of howls in the chat window.
Yes, which is very amusing when you see it for the first time.
I think, tying back to what you just said, a psychologist spider on roller skates that asks the enemies about their mother is entirely possible. So, I mean, I looked at that and went, nah, that's the sort of thing I'd probably enjoy if it wasn't an MMO with grind in it.
Yeah. It is. I mean, that description really just sums it up. It is all of those things, and it is none of those things if you don't want it to be. It's bizarre. It really is quite bizarre. I can't really explain it in a single sentence, but you do have to take the good with the bad. There are some limitations. Performance sometimes is a bit janky. The art styles are a bit inconsistent. Development shows the lack of resources they've had, the way the game runs and looks. So there are definitely some gaps in the overall package, but the core mechanics, the gameplay is pretty solid. And if you're into something that's really a bit different, then that's worth a look with that demo.
I am. Sadly, it's an MMO. it's going to unfortunately remain in the bin for me.
No, that's fair. That's
remain
totally
on the list.
Fair. Well, what's not an MMO was Aliens Dark Descent, which was technically our third game selected for the month. Gorgon
technically the third game. So technically, I didn't play it as part of Game Club.
No,
but I have played it.
We'll
last
make
year.
allowance.
Yeah, look, I'll talk about it because I have played it. Like, I played it from beginning to end. I've finished the whole campaign. I probably don't finish games far more often than I do finish games. And I haven't been playing a lot of single-player games recently. The only one I play pretty much these days consistently is what I talked about the other day, Death Stranding. Which is weird enough to hold my attention. Aliens Dark Descent was different. So Aliens Dark Descent is... I've got a lot of notes. I was going to make a video about it after I played it last year. I just didn't have time, so I just didn't bother. But I did make a lot of notes about it. It's a little bit like a cross between... it's got a little bit of XCOM in there, in that you're managing a squad and you're managing research upgrades, and fitting out your soldiers and managing their skills. So they've got skills and perks and they've all got like personalities and that sort of thing. So you do get random generated, and you build up a squad, and you can have guys that are in the squad and guys that are out of the squad. So you can mix and match as you need to.
Them out.
Rotate them in and out, yeah. So when they first start out, they're like a squaddy and they don't do anything particular. But then you specialize. So once you get going and you get past a certain level, they specialize and they become something in particular. So you'll have a rotating list of different types. So you want to mix it up. So you've got a diverse team that can tackle different things. And then in game, it's a real time with slow type mechanic and an isometric 3D type thing. Top down-ish isometric zoomable. And you have skills, you have gadgets, you have weapons. You eventually unlock xenotech, based after doing research on the aliens. And it's all around a ship of colonial marines that crashes with some scientists on board from a space station. I can't remember exactly what happens now. Something happens on the space station and the colonial marines come along and an automated weapon system gets activated and the ship crashes, and it's all about getting the hell off of the planet and finding out what went on. So you go through various different locations and environments and fight your way through them or sneak your way through them or plant traps and do this. So you can actually tackle it from multiple. I think that's what held my attention. You can tackle it from multiple different ways. you can weld up doors to keep them over here and sneak your way around to here and set up a trap over here, and so you aren't forced to fight all the time, which is cool. So it's open exploration. You can tackle anything in the maps in any order you want. So you just drop in, work it out. So you tackle each one in its own unique way almost. So which is really really appealed to me, that I could just drop in with my own customized team and just tackle what's going on in each mission, however I wanted to do it. It could be quite difficult. There were plenty of times when I got very angry with the game, and I did go back to it, and I did go away and come back to it a couple of times where I dumped it, went, fuck this game, for fuck, and then I'd be a few days later, I'd be like, I think I've got it, I think I've worked it out. And you go back, and you've worked it out. Like, you
constantly in the back of your mind, you're trying to think about how you can
ticking
overcome
over and working it out. Yeah, it's a good game. You've got to work shit out, which I quite like. The pause. It's not really real time with pause. Real time with slow down. So when you do real time with slow down, you basically press space, and then it comes up with your gadgets and skills, and you can choose between what you're going to do. So you can strategically use that to work out what you're going to do if shit's gone horribly badly wrong, or to carefully sift through all your skills and stuff. So all your alien stuff is there. All your smart guns, your pulse rifles, your sentry guns, and all that sort of thing that you recognize. It's all there, plus a bunch of expanded lore things as well. So there's all different types of aliens as well. So all up, I really enjoyed it. It's 100% one of those, I don't want to say hidden gems because I hate that. A very underappreciated and overlooked game, and anybody who I've ever talked to who's played it went, that game was great. Like, I loved that. That was fantastic. I can't believe it's not more popular. And I completely concur.
I've had another friend of mine talk about it as well. Talked about how he really enjoyed it. It's been on my radar. It just, as always, it's just one of those things. Just never got around to it. But I think based on what you've described here, that further cements my opinion that I should probably grab it.
Definitely worth playing. There's so much more I could talk about. That's just not.
He says putting away the 40 pages.
40 pages of stuff, and that's not talking about into each individual level or specific things happening in the game. Like, they're all game mechanics that I wrote down. There's just pages of game mechanics things, just little bits and pieces that just one of those things where it all comes together into being one coherent game that's both action packed but also makes you think a fair bit. So it's not just a dumb aliens game.
Combination. I appreciate when that sort of combination works.
It works. It's like a
comes
good
together
XCOM
in a way
game.
that fits. You don't have this sort of clashing of two different mechanics that don't necessarily jive together.
Don't jive together.
But having them mesh in a way that actually one side affects the other without really overwhelming or getting in the way. Yeah.
Very much got that XCOM feel where everything works together. All the different game mechanics they put together work together. It's not an XCOM game. Don't get me wrong. It's not turn-based shooting or anything like that, but it's got that feel. So that was Dark Descent, Aliens Dark Descent. So I think a couple of cracking months. So kudos again to Mocha for organising it, running the polls, putting together all the stuff, giving something to play. I know we don't probably have a large population of people that play game club games. I think there's some people who do and don't comment. But for me, it's definitely been 100% worth.
The voting typically gets sort of 20 to 30 odd, 35, 40 odd votes each month. So there's a lot of people engaging with it. But as you say, not everyone is necessarily jumping in and actually leaving the comments, and that's fine. But if you are playing the game club games, feel free to chuck your ideas and your thoughts on it, because that's what it's all about, is to give us some interesting and unusual games that perhaps we haven't heard of before from somebody who's nominated and said, hey, I played this, or I found this is really cool.
Feel free to nominate your favourite game.
Something totally different.
If you've got a niche game, you don't have to put something forward that you never played. You can bring your favourite niche game and go, I love this game. You guys should try it in Game Club.
100%. 100%. Yeah. So it has introduced a number of really interesting titles for me as well. And the third game for March was Borderlands 3, which I haven't played. We had a brief conversation about this before we started recording. I played Borderlands 1 and 2. 1 quite extensively because, it was fresh, it was unique, interesting humour to a point. But the art style and the gameplay was really cool. 2 was the same thing, but they just basically took all of the lameness and dialed it up to 11. And 3, I looked at it and it's just like, not for me. I'm over it. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm over it. So at this point, Borderlands 3 doesn't hold a lot of appeal for me, but I know a lot of other people certainly still enjoy it. It kind of scratches that looter shooter itch for a lot of people with the, look, let's be honest, the crazy bizarro gun combinations that you could come out with in that game were quite hilarious at times.
Some of the best part, right?
That's exactly right. That was some of the most interesting content in those games at all. The mechanic itself was pretty cool. So, looter shooter style action FPS, if you're into that sort of game, then Borderlands is probably still one of the good choices to look at. But for Game Club, at least, not my cup of tea this time around, I'm afraid.
I played it before. Yeah, I played Borderlands 3 before, and I didn't like it at all. Played it probably I played it co-op, which didn't help. Borderlands 1 and 2 were very good co-op. I thought Borderlands 3 wasn't very good co-op. I can't remember why, but I do remember playing it with a couple of friends, and I came to the end of the first session and went, I'm not going to play this with you guys again. I can't. I'm not enjoying this for some reason. It just, I don't know why. I don't know why. I didn't even bother looking at it this time. But yeah, that was Game Club. That was Game Club as it was for February and March 2026.
Yeah.
Even more exciting. I wanted to talk about this. Even more exciting, and I'm hoping this doesn't take like the next 2 hours as it possibly could.
Yes.
Since I know how much both of us like this sort of thing. Flight sims. Flight sims across the ages. Probably showing our age a little bit. I wanted to talk about this because I thought it would be a good one. And I figured, why don't we have a structured topic that other people can chime in on, either in TOG or in the comments here, rather than just talking about a bunch of random stuff, which we do end up talking about random stuff anyway.
We do.
And this is a favourite subject of mine, flight simulators. And I thought,
focus topic. Let's go.
I could talk forever about this. So, some of my earliest memories were having a Commodore 64 and playing the old Commodore 64 simulators. Now, this is an old British Air Force flight jacket, which is why I'm wearing it. I'm not just wearing it because I want to look cool. It's a very cool jacket, but I thought it was very, very on topic. It's a wonderful piece of kit, and I got it relatively cheap online. I was not in the British Air Force, so that's why it's got I took any and all patches off that had anything on them whatsoever, obviously. But back on the Commodore 64, I'm pretty sure, harking back to sitting in my friend's house, we both had Commodore 64s. I used to go to his place all the time. They were family friends, so my parents go see their parents. They'd drink. We'd play Commodore 64 games, right? And I'm pretty sure the first flight sim I ever played, and I hesitate to call it a flight sim, was a thing called Ace or Ace 2. Very simplistic, almost more like a what would you say, like an arcade shooter, like a precursor to Afterburner, or maybe contemporary of Afterburner, but its big defining thing, which I remember really clearly, was sitting at his house and playing together because it was multiplayer. It was split screen multiplayer. So you actually both started in a plane and opposite ends of this map, and then tried to find each other and then try to shoot each other down, which was obviously incredibly simplistic, because at the end of the day, what you did was you fired some missiles at each other. If you both avoided them, then you tried to gun each other to death, and then it would just turn into 2 pixels flying around each other. It was in 3D. 2 pixels flying around each other, basically, until you hit them with your black dots, which were the guns, and then someone would explode, and then you'd shout at each other a bit, and then you get back and do it again. And I'm pretty sure it's the first one. And over the years, and I looked up on a site called Lemon 64, which is like a repository of as many 64 games as they possibly can have information and screenshots and all the details on. It's been going for about 28 years, that site. I'm pretty sure I also played F-14 Tomcat, F-15 Strike Eagle, F-16 Combat Pilot. These are all of varying degrees of complexity, with wireframe graphics, of course. No fancy filled-in vector graphics here. There was Flight Simulator 2. I don't know if you ever played that on a Commodore 64. One of the original flight sims. Yep,
not one for me.
I remember that. I looked at the screenshot and went, wow, I remember that. That felt like rocket science at the time. Like, it was pretty complicated for the time. Of course, one you will know quite well, Gunship. I played a lot of Gunship, the original Commodore 64 Gunship. Yep. I sucked at that game, but I played a lot. I played a lot of it. Really good fun. And another one which stuck in my mind forever, and when I looked at the screenshots, it was a real nostalgia thing, was a game called Project Stealth Fighter, which was a big thing on the C64 back then. And I have very vivid memories of playing a hell of a lot of that, and again, sucking really hard at it, because I wouldn't have been anywhere between 10 and 13 years old, but with my little TAC2 joystick, I was trying to think of what that was called. It just came to me, a TAC2 joystick, and I had another more simulatory feeling one. It's still the same thing. They only had one button because it was Commodore 64, so it might have 3 buttons on it, but they all did the same thing.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was like at C64. That was, I guess, big on what I did. I mean, what was your first flight simulator playing?
It's interesting because I never actually had a console growing up.
I didn't have a console either. Yeah.
Ended up having getting a Nintendo 64, but that wasn't until my mid to late teens, and by that point we'd had a PC for several years. So the console for me was very much a secondary phase in the gaming. So my first exposure to flight simulators was actually on a friend's Sega. I think it was the Genesis or Master? Must have been the Genesis, early 90s, about 92, 93-ish. And it was, I forget if it was F117 Nighthawk or F117 Night Storm. I can't remember which of those two names it was, but that was my first introduction to flight games of any sort I'm pretty sure it was the Sega Genesis. And obviously I didn't own it, so I could only play it when I went round to his place, and that was, intermittent. So that was pretty much the first foray. But Gunship 2000 in particular, that was where I really cut my teeth on the whole sort of flight sim / combat flight sim. And that was, I think, 1991, I think, was the original Gunship. Gunship 2000, I think, was 1992 or thereabouts. I could be slightly off on my times there, but I remember playing that on my dad's first work laptop in the early 90s. So I was 9 or 10 years old, maybe, give or take. Really, showcasing my age there. But anyway,
I'm older than you.
You're older.
I almost finished high school by then.
Kind of outing ourselves here, aren't we?
No, I was almost done with high school by then.
Gunship was what really drew me in because, of course, that had a full 3D terrain. It had a kind of fully realised graphical cockpit with a little TV display that would actually work and show you targets if you were firing guided missiles or TOWs or what have you. Hellfire, I think they were, rather. And the different helicopters you could fly, you had the Apache, you had the Kiowa, the Black Hawk, I think it was, the different missions, search and destroy, rescue missions, flying and landing on bases versus aircraft carriers. I always sucked at that because I always forgot to account for the fact that the aircraft carrier was not actually at sea level or ground level. So I'd be coming in going, yeah, crunch. Oh, shit, there was actually 30 meters above the deck. Anyway, so it was also, I think, my first introduction to a game that had kind of persistent progression. Had medals and awards for performance, and the mission outcome would influence the next mission's status to a degree. And of course, if you succeeded in your campaign, you got the Medal of Honor or whatever it was, and that really stuck with me. So Gunship was certainly one of my first real games that got me sucked into that. On the more arcade side, I remember Crimson Skies was another
Xbox.
Not really a flight simulator.
Yeah, played that on the Xbox,
On the Xbox, I had that on the PC, and that was just ridiculous. Sky Pirates. I mean, what's not to love about Sky Pirates?
Fun game. Look good too.
That was great. I then kind of had a bit of a hiatus for a while, and the next one I really got stuck into was Microsoft Combat Flight Simulator 2004, I think it was. And that was fantastic. That was the one that really cemented my love of combat flight sims. And now we're sort of getting into the more modern era, of course. But IL-2, the original IL-2 and 1946 was sort of in that early 2000s, 2010 space. And that kind of became the gold standard for that style of flight sim. Then you also had things like Falcon. You mentioned Falcon 3.0, I think. I played Falcon 4.0, I think it was. But not Falcon 3.0. And of course there was Microsoft Flight Simulator itself, the OG, and there was X-Plane. And of course this is where it all just explodes into a whole variety of different things.
All over the place. I played most of them.
I'm not surprised.
I had a big long period when I had an Amiga 500, so that was the next computer I had where I played a lot of the flight sims on them, none of which I remember all that well. I played the Chuck Yeager's Flight Trainer. I wrote a few of these down after I went and looked up the database of them. I played Dawn Patrol, which was World War One. There was F-15 Strike Eagle 2 and F-19 Stealth Fighter, which I can't remember. F-29 Retaliator I remember quite well. That was quite. I remember it being quite a good game. No, you probably didn't. Falcon, the original Falcon, I'm pretty sure I played on the Amiga. Scott, Gunship 2000, 100% played that on the Amiga.
Yeah.
I played on PC.
Yep,
And
nice.
I remember the Knights of the Sky quite well. That was another World War One flight simulator, which was quite complex. I think that might have been a Microprose one. But I remember that one probably the most clearly because another friend of mine played it too. And we worked out that we could play it multiplayer with a null modem cable between two Amigas.
Nice.
And I remember going to his house and playing Knights of the Sky against each other, early-ish 90s, 90-something, 91, 92, 90, 91, 92 probably is most likely. Yeah, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, at the time, that was crazy talk. Then you roll into Falcon. I wrote 4 here, but I haven't played Falcon 4. Falcon 3, I remember a friend of mine owned it, the big box with the millions of manuals, and it was quite complex. And I used to play it at his place, but he would never lend me the manuals or anything, which makes sense.
Yeah.
It cost him a fair bit of money at the time. But I've played it since. It was a cool game, very complex. Still a lot of people play it, and Falcon 4 too. A lot of people still play Falcon 4 for the simulation.
It's still in development, I believe. Open source development team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
something along those lines.
Yep. There's a lot of.
Is impressive.
I touched on it yesterday when I did a bit of research, and there's definitely a lot of resources and a lot of people who still talk about, it being worth playing. Even though it came out.
I think it's still in many circles considered the gold standard for the F16 platform.
Yeah, mission-based F16 stuff. Like it's got a quite extensive campaign system and mission system. But of course, you said IL2. That was the other big one. I loved IL2. I got it when it first came out. I actually remember my parents bought it for my birthday when I was living in Queensland. Nice. I would have been in my late 20s, maybe.
Yeah.
I still play Battle of Stalingrad, obviously, which is the most current iteration. And if I could work out how to get an IL2 persistent campaign to work, I would. That would be good fun, like persistent multiplayer.
We've talked about this.
So
it is
hard.
Such a hassle. IL2, I think, is probably my favorite combat flight simulator over the years. I mean, the first one was 2000 I want to say 2001, maybe.
Quite early.
Quite early on.
Yep.
Quite early, and I have some very fond memories of that game with my brother Praticus, who's also a TOG member, flying missions into Russia or into Germany or Eastern Europe, depending on which side of the fight we wanted to play on. And I recall a certain mission where he was the tail gunner in my. I think we were flying a Stuka at the time, using the cannon pods on a seek and destroy mission on a column of T-34s. And so, flying along, great, get to the target zone, great, cool. We're lining it up, that's all groovy. Coming in to do my gun run, and I had only really done bombing at that point. I had never really done strafing attacks with these sims, so I was kind of flying a bit fast and loose here. So I came in, firing the gun, and of course it only has, I think it was 6 rounds per gun, so you've got 12 hits basically.
Yep.
And I knocked out the first 2 tanks, and then I realized, shit, I'm too low. I'm going to start pulling up. And then the tail clipped the 3rd tank. The tail fell off. And so we kind of careened and bobbed over the top of the tank column, landed in some snowy field off to one side. And Praticus then spent about the next 5 minutes using the tail gunner to try and destroy the last of the T-34s, which went about as well as you might expect.
Nice.
But that kind of bizarro, just utterly stupid kind of experience in amongst all of the really great missions where you actually achieve the objective of shooting down a plane or bombing a naval vessel or dockyard or whatever. I have a lot of love for that series, and obviously the latest iteration being the Great Battle series, as you say, Stalingrad being the first of those. Yep. There's some really fantastic content in there.
It really is.
But it has the tank module as well.
Oh, that's right, there's a tank module as well.
Which is actually really well realised for the tanks that it models, but it is kind of, I guess you'd say it's a bit of a red-headed stepchild if you were going to use that stereotype. Are we allowed to use that stereotype? Maybe not. Let's not use that. It's a bit of a underappreciated addition to the game because it hasn't had a lot of development after its release, unfortunately. So there are a few glaring issues around the gameplay there, but it does mean that you can have tank battles in the same mission as combat in the air, so you can actually have interaction between both the ground and the air. Kind of like War Thunder, but not.
I've only got 3 other things to talk about in this realm, and then I'm going to let you close out the subject. And that's One of them is War Thunder, but I won't actually talk about that straight away. One of the reasons why I want to do IL2 in a persistent map is I used to play a game called Aces High, which was literally a World War II simulator, which had planes and I think, fighters and bombers and attackers, had all sorts of stuff, fully realized. This would have been early 2000s. I'm pretty sure it still runs now. There's a newer version of it. I've not played it for years. It's a subscription service.
Interesting.
But that was a giant persistent battlefield. Giant persistent battlefield. So two sides facing off, trying to take airfields and whatever through various means. And I'm pretty sure there were ground vehicles in it too, but it's been a long time. Fantastic game that I played for years and years. You could get into a bomber and fly for 20 minutes. Like, you literally go do the housework and come back and the bomber's still flying to the target. And if you had gunners, they'd be just sitting there having lunch or whatever. But a large chunk of the community was incredibly toxic. Like, they were just some really horrible people that were involved. But not all of them. I had some horrible experiences in the forums, which is probably my mistake for going in the forums. But I also had some good experiences in the right parts of the forums where people would help you out with advice, but not just advice. They'd get into the game with you and show you. And that's how I learned how to do a lot of certainly World War II or era specific tactics in dogfighting, which I still use to this day in various games, which is, it's not all negative. Talking about War Thunder, War Thunder's not a simulator, really. You can play a simulation version of it. That is where they started with the air battles. Yeah. I do like the air battles, but nowadays I'm playing War Thunder in the air, and I do really like it. I love playing on those planes. It's good fun, but I just tend to play air arcade. Realistic's only good, I find, solo, because once you die in realistic, you're out. Like, you get one plane, you die.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's good and bad.
One and done. Yeah.
By yourself, it's actually pretty cool because you can go and make your plans, or if you want to team up with somebody, if they die, they're out. They've got to watch you play for 15 minutes. But if it all works out and you come up with a good plan and you knock people out, they're out. Whereas in an arcade, you kill someone, they come straight back. You almost get infinite lives until the game's over. So there's always waves of people coming back. So you can't make a plan like, let's clear up over here, then we can get around behind them and take this airbase and take stuff out. No, because they're all spawning back in.
As soon as you move,
they will come back in.
Clear space is full again. Yeah.
In realistic, you don't get that. You sweep the sky, you make your plan, and then you go for the targets, and it works because they can't just spawn back in. It's no. I like it. You hate it. I like it. I play with other people.
No, and fair enough. I mean, to be fair, my initial game time in War Thunder was, of course, air, because that's what they started. That's what it was. That's all it was. So I did have a reasonable amount of time in that game, but at the time it was I was playing World of Tanks at the time for my ground combat. Before that sucked so hard that I gave it up. Yeah. But for air, War Thunder was okay, but I was like, why would I play this when I could just play IL2? And so most of the time, if I felt like playing a flight game, I would just play IL2.
IL2 is a better game.
And it was a better game as far as flight goes, but obviously it lacks all of that progression mechanic and the unlocking and research and the variety of aircraft
and
that War Thunder offers.
Instant action, IL2, there's a lot of setup and a lot of flying and a lot of simulation.
Yeah.
War Thunder,
a lot of extra work that goes into
100%.
Into the game. But and so I kind of just never really sank too much time into War Thunder Flight. These days I look at it and I just go, too hard.
Fair enough.
I'm probably not spending the time to set up my controls to do it. I can fly the plane with my controls as they are, but it usually results in me going, oh, there's a target. Cool, I'm on the ground.
I use a mouse and keyboard.
That's the extent of it.
I spent a lot of time refining my mouse and keyboard controls, and now I just use that. I tried HOTAS. Which I played before. HOTAS works fine, but again, dicking around, having it set up. I've tried a controller. Controller didn't work for me at all. Mouse and keyboard, once I mucked around with it a lot and worked out which settings I liked. Quite good, especially in arcade. Just casual. I want a casual game. I have a casual game. The only other one I was going to bring up for me, and the only one that I've played a lot of, apart from War Thunder, which again I don't really count, is Nuclear Option.
Of course,
you weren't keen on Nuclear Option, which is fair enough because it's like a near future one. None of the planes are real; they're all sort of variations on the theme of current next gen planes or next gen planes and helicopters.
Like the A10 isn't an A10, but you see it's inspired by the A10 kind of thing.
Lots of planes with like
a bit like the ARMA universe,
pusher props. Yeah, so it's it's I liked it. I thought it was quite cool. It's got a cool multiplayer option. It's got big maps. Yes, you can fire nukes to take out the bases. The persistent type maps, it does have a persistent type map, but you pretty play it for 2 or 3 hours. Getting stable as you go along, and it progresses. You get more and more equipment and better planes and stuff as you achieve things, and you got to try to take bases in different ways. You can drop supplies. Helicopters do missions either to rescue people or to drop supplies or set up SAMs or do cool stuff, so you can set things up around the map.
Nice.
And of course, because it's multiplayer, you can play it with multiple other people, and basically you have a big laugh. I've played it with Fox, who you played that SWAT game with.
Ready or Not was our regular game. We've
so,
kind of let that slide, but there's a new DLC we need to check out. We'll touch on that another
We played
time.
Nuclear Option once together, but we talked about it back and forth a lot. He has played a shitload more of it than me, so I kind of lent on his experience. And we unfortunately haven't been able to line up another game yet because I just haven't been available. I know I know it wasn't your sort of setting, which would be fun, but
I should probably give it a go. To be fair,
there's no demo, I don't think.
And okay, that's a bit of a shame. But I mean, I looked at it, and the setting just kind of put me off. I was like, I'm not really into near future stuff, but the gameplay mechanics probably appeal to me. So I should probably just suck up the setting and actually give it a fair shake.
I actually don't think you will hate the setting because the planes they made are actually really interesting.
Right? Yeah, I've just written it off without any real justification. So I should just kind of pull my head in and give it a crack.
Look, I think it's worth a crack. I was quite keen on it before I got it, and I'm really glad I did.
Yeah, well, and as I say, I should probably give it a go and just give it a fair shake because those sorts of games I do enjoy. And the other two kind of elephants in the room, if you want to call it that, Microsoft Flight Simulator, both 2020 and 2024, of course. Well, I haven't picked up 24 because I was just kind of like, same thing, different package, not really interested at the moment. Right. I may grab it in future or the next iteration perhaps, but 2020 was kind of a revolution in terms of certainly visual fidelity, but also the way they pioneered the streaming of content for ground textures, ground layers, and so on, and air traffic. So you'd have real world NPC aircraft basically following real world flight paths, which is cool. I like that. It's really neat. There were obviously a whole shit ton of teething issues around having decent internet access, downloading a cache, how much cache you allow for where you want to fly, etc. Right. And pre-flight sim, Microsoft Flight Sim, that is, I used to play a lot of X-Plane 11, and that obviously is the same sort of scale in terms of general aviation, no combat, but I just have memories of preparing the so-called orthographic files, which is the ground textures and so on. There was a whole bunch of ways you could either download prepackaged versions or pay for modded versions or professionally developed ones, or you could generate your own. And what I ended up doing, a lot of people did this, I think, with X-Plane, was you stored the files on a different PC and you'd stream them. So it was like a localized version of Flight Simulator's 2020 version of streaming the files. Okay. So you didn't have to store it all on your local PC. It would just stream it from the host and store it in RAM while it was being used, and then drop it out when you were finished. And it worked really well. It meant that I could create high-resolution ground textures for parts of the world that I never would have otherwise, because it would take up 2 terabytes of friggin' space or something stupid. Bit of an exaggeration maybe, but I do remember my X-Plane 11 drive on my server at the time was about 900 gigs, and most of that was effectively ground textures and terrain features.
Wow.
And then, of course, Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 comes out, and all of that goes away. You don't need it anymore. You just have the game installed, which is, 100 gig or so, and a 20, 30 gigabyte cache to just stream and swap out the assets as you're moving around. Job done. And it's like, wow, this is a breath of fresh air. And yet it wasn't, because of those hiccups around streaming and content and so on. But it certainly redefined, I think, what a general aviation simulator should look like. And obviously X-Plane then had their next iteration, X-Plane 12, which really upped the game from them as well. Now we've got 2024, which adds in a few extra gameplay loops, because otherwise it's just create your flight and go. But one thing I like about it is the ecosystem that develops around those sorts of games. With the SimRig, I've got my flight yoke or my flight stick, depending on what I'm doing. I've got my tablet, and I've got my mini PC, which drives a second little touch monitor. And you can have, your flight planning software. You can have your your airport charts, your AirAx charts, and your star charts and things like that for navigating a particular airport or flight path to land or whatever. All of that sort of shit, you can either have it in the game through certain modules and add-ons, or you can have it as a separate tablet outside the game. And I'm not a professional pilot. I don't pretend to be an expert in any way, shape, or form. But I just like the fact that you can start to explore those aspects of the flight experience in a fairly easily accessible package. It's really nice. On the other side of the coin is DCS, which is probably the combat equivalent of Flight Sim in terms of complexity, I guess.
I think we've all tried DCS, haven't we?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we probably all have. No?
Yeah, I definitely have. I'm pretty sure I never got off the ground.
Well, yeah.
From memory?
I was actually, we were talking about this, forget who it was I was talking with it about the other day, and I mentioned, DCS, great game. I just don't have the time to learn how to fly a plane completely from scratch. And I remember buying, I think it was the Harrier module.
Oh, wow, you bought something.
I bought something. I thought, fuck it, give it a go. Harrier module was on sale for like $15 or something stupid. So I grabbed it. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to sit on the ground and spend 2 hours learning all of the startup procedures and from cold or what have you. I'll start in the air. I'll get, put me in the air. So it did. And that was fine until I realized the engines weren't on. I was like, fuck, you've literally just put me in the air. Like you just lifted me off the ground and put me in the air. Okay, cool. Now what? So that was a very short flight. And unfortunately, the mission failed. So, I enjoy the scope of DCS, but again, the execution of it, Microsoft Flight Simulator, very accessible. Jump in, start your plane, go. Or jump in, be flying, go. DCS, I just found the barrier to entry, for me at least, personally. I'm sure some people will disagree. For me, it was just too high. I just didn't have the time to sit and learn it all.
I've enjoyed watching people in YouTube videos play
some great
DCS.
Content. Yeah.
Some really good content. They make it look really easy and flying around and doing all these cool things. Like, wow, I wish I could do that. I've seen real ex-combat pilots flying it with other people and talking about, how they learned to do this. And, I've flown this plane. And, this is, obviously really realistic. And I'm like, they're pressing all the buttons and the dials. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I just want to press one dial that turns the whole thing on. It's not like that. So I think I had a similar situation. I tried to play it with the SU-25, which is what you get for free.
Yes.
There's that and the PG. No, sorry. It's the TF-51D in this. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yes, that's right.
P-51. I remember I've tried both. I could never get off the ground in the Mustang, really. I think I had to put me in the air already flying. And the SU-25, I tried to get it off the ground. And I actually played that with VR. And it was just so hard to get it to run in VR well. Because it looks so good. Like, the fidelity is quite good. It struggled in VR with my headset. I've only got a Quest 2. And when I did fly around in it, it was a whole lot of me going, wow, this looks really cool. This is fun. Oh, why am I crashing? What is the plane doing? Oh my God, I'm upside down. And then I'd explain. Like I just couldn't fly the plane. It was like, okay, I don't actually know how to fly a fighter jet in real life. I just do when I fly in a simplified simulation. So.
A very good way to demonstrate that without the right expertise, an aircraft is really little more than a falling lump of metal. So.
The gulf between a casual flight sim enjoyer, me, and an actual fighter pilot is between here and the moon and back. Absolutely humongous. Like I got no fucking idea. Good thing I wasn't a fighter pilot.
I enjoy the fact DCS exists, and I appreciate what it delivers because 100%. It is quite an achievement in its own right.
Oh, yeah.
But Microsoft Flight Simulator lets me fly over my house, so.
Yeah, I can't play Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's definitely not for me, Flight Simulator. I've tried 2020. I played older ones as well. I have enjoyed the taking off and flying around in a plane over real world areas, and then I get bored and crashed into a building or into a ground or into the ocean or try to see how high I can fly. And when I ran out of all those stupid things to do, I'm like, I don't like getting in a plane and flying from A to B. That's my cup of tea.
That's fair enough. I've enjoyed it for more the sort of the localized bush flights or low level exploration. I flew over Wacken, for example, in Germany to revisit the festival grounds here. I was like, cool, look, there's where the stage would be. Cool. I've flown through parts of Papua New Guinea where I've been for work. And I know the terrain. I know where the runway is, and you fly over and you go, oh yeah, holy shit, that's exactly what it looks like. Nice. Those sorts of things are cool, flying through the Grand Canyon or flying around the Eiffel Tower in Paris or exploring different parts of the world like that is cool. The sort of gameplay where you fly a jetliner from London to New York, which some people enjoy doing, is not for me. I just look at that and go, why? I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. Some people love it, and that's fine.
I see the appeal. Some people love that. Some people love doing.
Yeah, it's
plenty of people love doing things in computer games that I find incredibly boring. Mining and prospecting and salvage and
no
stuff,
doubt it's
for
the same
instance.
in reverse. Yeah.
They probably see the stuff I'm doing and they're like, I don't never enjoy that. What are you doing? Shooting everything. I just want to move stuff around. I get that. Some people who play truck simulators, the weirdos. Oh no, that's you.
Yeah, I know. What is up with those guys? Man, such strange people.
I own all of the truck. Don't worry, I own all the truck simulators too. I have played them at various times and enjoyed them.
I mean, look, let's be honest. As soon as the sim rig is back up in action, that's probably the first thing I'm going to fire up because it's such an easy game to test on.
Look, I grew up in trucks. My dad was a truck driver, so I get it, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of kind of what it's like. You can't smell the stale cigarettes and the
thank goodness.
Yeah, so
I'm okay with that lacking feature.
Yeah, they should implement that. The real experience.
No, I'm quite happy with the. Yeah, no, let's not go there.
Anyway, look, that's most of my flight simulator background. Not talking about peripherals and hardwares and other bits and pieces that are going to do with it, but
whole other.
In terms of the actual games, without going crazy in depth and talking about, I remember when I did that. That's my background. I would love to see in the comments or over on TOG and the channel we'll make, obviously, when the podcast is out, other people's background. What did you play first? What do you play now? What's your experience? Why do you play them? Do you love the boring stuff like Foxman, or do you love the exciting stuff like I do?
You're a weirdo like me.
Are you a tourist?
A normal person like
Or
Gavor.
is there something wrong with you where you want to nuke everybody on the other team?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're both wrong in different ways.
We're both wrong in different ways.
I mean, flight simulators is one of those genres that has existed for probably almost the entirety of computer gaming or video gaming in general. So there's such an enormous range of game titles and simulation titles and platforms and God knows what else. So I'm sure there are many other games and platforms that we haven't thought of here that other people will have experienced. So I'm keen to see what else people have delved into over the years.
No, I agree. I think there's some other things that will come up, the games that we hadn't even heard of or hadn't even thought about, or you might bring something up and go, holy shit, that's right, I remember playing that. It's probably stacks.
Almost certainly. I'm fully expecting some names to be mentioned which I have completely forgotten about and yet were critical at a certain time in my life. So looking forward to those reminiscing moments.
Definitely. Oh, look, have you got anything else you want to talk about today?
Not especially. No. One thing I did think was quite interesting. You mentioned it very briefly early when we were talking about Captains of Industry and the sort of transport / building type games. You mentioned Transport Tycoon.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever dabbled in Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe, which is
Who doesn't play OpenTTD?
I'm glad you said that. I was going to question our entire friendship if you had answered any other way. So well done.
Play OpenTTD anyway. I'm pretty sure it's on my PC right now. Anyway,
it's on my PC right now. Yes, it's a great little game. I love it. But one thing that I saw just recently was Atari had apparently gained the rights for the franchise.
Yes, I've seen this story. It's a good story.
Yeah, it's interesting how this came about. They obviously have been some negotiations in the background for quite some time because OpenTTD is a community project. It's open source, but it was originally developed from the source code of the original game. And so it does technically infringe on the copyrights. So in theory, Atari could potentially have shut them down. But instead, what they've done is they have come up with a partnership. So the original Transport Tycoon Deluxe is now available on Steam and GOG for a nominal amount, $15 or something, not particularly expensive. And OpenTTD is now available in a bundle with the original game. So you get both in one hit. And OpenTTD can continue development and distribute the game through their own website. And Atari apparently have made a contribution towards the maintenance and running costs for the future development.
Yeah.
Which, some people look at it and go, oh, they sold out. But, I look at it and go, well, they were potentially in an existential situation where they may not have existed.
It's a reasonable compromise. They negotiated in good faith, and they both made compromises, and it was a good outcome. You can still get OpenTTD. You just can't get it on Steam.
and you can get the original game. And anybody who has OpenTTD on Steam doesn't lose it. It's still there, and it will still be updated. So there's no loss to anyone who already has it. And if you buy the original game on Steam, you get OpenTTD on Steam anyway. So I think it is a really good outcome.
It's a great outcome.
In a world where we are so used to seeing gaming news where, the consumer or the open source project or the fans or the modders get absolutely shafted by corporate interests. Exactly. Bend over and take it. In this instance, I think this is a great example of Atari, who perhaps don't have the greatest track record in some areas, but sometimes in this instance, they've kind of come to the table and said, hey, you know what, let's make it work. And thumbs up. Good on them. I think it's bloody great. So that was my little tidbit that you kind of sort of triggered earlier on. So good on you. A friend of mine over in Germany, we often spend a ridiculous amount of time, probably once every couple of months.
Nice.
Jump online and 3 a.m. I'm going, I'll just we'll just expand this line out to such and such, and then it's like, oh, fuck, actually, I probably should go to sleep right now. But
is that the sun? Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's the one more turn, but of course it's real time, so there's no turn. You just keep fucking going, and it's like, God damn it.
Here's our topic for next time. We should talk about games that you play entirely too long when you should be going to bed or doing the chores or something.
No. Yeah. Let's talk about that. I'm going to regret every second of talking about that, though. But let's do it.
I am and I'm not. I've even got one. I've even got one that I'm playing now where I get up early in the morning and I play it. And unfortunately, I am still playing it at around midday when I should have done a shitload of chores or tasks or done something or spoken to my family in the morning. It's
spoken to the family, that's right. No, don't talk, I'm busy.
No, I go, what are you doing? I don't know. Can you get me a coffee? Because I haven't finished playing this yet. And then I'll look at it and oh, shit, it's 11:30.
Brilliant. So we'll end things there for this episode and obviously pick up new topics, new games, new ideas for the next one. But thank you, everyone, for watching / listening. Feel free to chime in on Discord. We'll have the usual thread up in the Discord, of course, and the announcement once this goes live. And look forward to your comments on flight sims and any other topic we've discussed here. Tell us how great we are, how handsome and wonderful we look if you're watching, and how wonderful our voices are if you're listening. I hope it's relaxing. But until next time, I've been Foxman. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. See you next time. Goodbye.
Cheers.